Hello and welcome to a special episode of the D1Baseball podcast. I am your host, Michael Patrick Rooney. I want to remind everyone that Academy in Sports and Outdoors, they carry all the best gear from all the top brands, all at prices you'll love. Shopping is more convenient than ever at academy.com and on the Academy app. Enjoy free shipping on orders of $25 or more with sign-in, plus easy in-store or curbside pickup. Shop anytime, anywhere, and find the widest selection of colors, styles, and sizes, from grills to fitness equipment to workout clothes. Everything you need for fun out there is right here at academy.com. We are so pleased to be joined by our good friends at Academy, as we have all year. Boys, this is a special episode because we are going to pick our quarter-century college baseball all-star clubs. And just to put some ground rules around this. So, we're getting ready for the 2026 season. So we've got 25 years of a new century of baseball behind us. And we're going to focus on the careers of these elite players in college and their positions in college. Joe, as you brought up, Dustin Pedroia will not be a second baseman in this game because he was a three-year starter at shortstop at old Arizona State. So we're going to focus on college careers, not really worried about how the pro careers turned out. We're going to focus on college positions. And man, this list is bonkers how good these players were. Super fun exercise. I want to remind the fans, too, that you are going to get a chance to participate in this. As early as tomorrow, if you're listening to this, we are get all over our social medias. You're going to get to vote at all these different positions. We're going to carve this up into two halves, if you will. The first half, we're going to each draft our position players, and that's going to be, so 8 spots. And then the second half, we're going to do pitching, 5 starters, 2 relievers, and 1 two-way player each. So the 4 of us will each assemble teams, and then as a D1 Baseball conglomerate, with the fan voting included, we'll have a 34-man roster at the end here. So this is going to be a blast. Boy, it is really difficult to pick. So you can see I'm joined by Kendall and Joe and Aaron, and we're going to get after this thing. We've got very specific draft orders here, boys. And Kendall, this is very appropriate because you are the GOAT. You are going to have the first pick in this whole deal. And we're going to each select, we're going to go positions at a time. So we're going to go catcher. Before you go, Kendall, let me just quickly rattle off who our choices are. And so at catcher, Kurt Suzuki of Cal State Fullerton, Mike Zunino of Florida, Buster Posey of Florida State, Matt Wieters of Georgia Tech, Henry Davis of Louisville, Adley Rutschman of Oregon State, goodness gracious, Landon Powell of South Carolina, and Ryan Garko of Stanford. That is a list now. We got some choices. You can go off the board too, boys. Kendall, you have the first pick in the draft.
With the first pick of the quarter-century player draft, I will take Adley Rutschman from Oregon State. I struggled with Rutschman versus Posey, but man, when I look back at the last 20, 25 years in college baseball, like there's nobody for me that from an offensive standpoint and just sheer defensive standpoint that had that looked as good as Adley Rutschman did at times. The way he commanded that team, the way he produced the plate, how good he was framing pitches, how strong of an arm he had. He's a really good athlete, just like Posey. But I give the edge for me to Adley Rutschman. He was really special.
And also tackled Christian McCaffrey in a college football game. But you remember, though, like in seriousness, Adley Rutschman went off in the 2018 College World Series. I mean,
Incredible.
that was bonkers. I don't think he made an out for 2 weeks. It was
that's
crazy.
the really interesting thing about him and Posey. I mean, Posey was an infielder, a converted infielder, and a really good athlete. And, Adley, a really good athlete, obviously a former football player.
Second pick in the draft will be the fantastic Fitt Dogs.
Yes, well, Fitt Dogs will indeed take Buster Posey. Let me tell you why. Because Mike Martin once told me, he said, the animals of Section B never wrote a song about J.D. Drew, but they wrote a song about Buster Posey because that's how special that young man is. And he was right. He was a pretty special young man. God, that was not a great 11 impression. But
that was terrible. -5.
Roll on. I had the spirit. I think I had the spirit.
Yeah, the spirit
of 11.
No question.
I mean, the guy had 4. Listen, I mean, 3 great years. As Kendall said, he started out as a shortstop. Also gives you value as a as a ninth inning guy if you want to bring him out of the bullpen. But I mean, that junior year was unreal. I mean, the guy hit 463 with 26 bombs and 93 RBIs, and in an era when certainly it was an offensive, time. It was 2008 was his junior year, but gosh, I mean, he was by far the best player in the country that year. Unbelievable talent, makeup. As everyone knows now, he's probably is Buster Posey a major league Hall of Famer? I mean, like he's won 3 rings. I mean, he's had a pretty darn good career.
He almost certainly is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I did pretty well with the second pick here.
Yeah, well done. All right, I have the third pick, and I'm going to take Kurt Suzuki of Cal State Fullerton, and he just, that decade for Cal State Fullerton. What do we call that? That's the aughts, Fitzy, right? Isn't that how you say that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Cal State Fullerton, think about how bonkers this is. They went to Omaha 6 times that decade, 6 times. And it just, they never, even then, they didn't win all these crazy recruiting battles. And Kurt Suzuki was a crazy recruiting story. He was sending out videotapes back then. He was sending out VHS tapes from Hawaii trying to get recruited. And, him and Justin Turner were 2 of the faces of those teams. And he was the one, though, like just absolutely shut the game down behind the plate. Became a middle-of-the-order bat for them, obviously had a long big league career, but we're focused on the college part. And when Fullerton won the 2004 national title, Kurt Suzuki had so much to do with that because obviously their pitching was elite. And, man, he was bonkers how good he was back there. So, Kurt Suzuki. Joe, go ahead.
And for the final pick of this round, as much as it pains me to leave Landon Powell, the pride of Apex, North Carolina, the peak of good living, on the board, I'm going to go with Matt Wieters, 2-time first-team All-American, really kind of the, if you will, patriarch of that Georgia Tech, I guess Veritech maybe more so, but the modern version of the Georgia Tech catching pipeline back in 2006. And so guy I grew up loving it, watching in college baseball. So I feel pretty good with the 4th pick of ending up with Matt Wieters.
Love that. That's a heck of a pick. All right, let's do the first sackers. Boy, this is another group, as you would expect. So our choices are Brett Wallace of Arizona State, Spencer Torkelson of Arizona State, Andrew Vaughn of Cal, Matt Laporta of Florida, Charlie Condon of Georgia, Billy Beecher of New Mexico State. That's been so long. Billy, is it Beecher or Becker? Billy, I think it's Beecher. What do you got, Fitzy? Beecher, that's what I thought. Yeah, there you go.
Look up his stats, kids. I suspect he's not going to get picked here. Look up his stats.
I even know he's a McClintock High School Charger from Mesa, Arizona. Wow. Dustin Ackley, North Carolina. Ivan Melendez, Texas. And there's our group. Man, Dustin Ackley. Holy heck, what a group. Fitzy, you have the first pick in this draft, and man, go for it.
This is a tough group. I wasn't actually expecting the first pick. I thought we were going snake order, so I'm already out of my element.
Yeah, they sent the order out last night, Fitzy. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I'm gonna go Dustin Ackley, guys.
Damn it.
Yeah, I knew this was a Kendall favorite because I believe Kendall gave him a National Hitter of the Year award when he was at some previous employment. He did not win the Golden Spikes Award or my Player of the Year award in 2009 because there's a guy named Strasburg who got that one. But gosh, he was the best player in the country that year. I mean, easily. And again, it's, this guy has a 3-year track record. He hit over 400 all 3 years in college. Just an elite hit tool, could really run, could steal bases, didn't hit a ton of home runs, but, finished with 39, I think, over his 3-year career. I mean, his junior year, he hit a bunch of home runs. Great junior, just a great combination of doing everything as a junior: power, speed, average, winning ball player.
Love that. All right, I won't dilly-dally. I'm going to do Brett Wallace of the Sun Devils. He's there 2006 to 2008, was not the highest profile recruit in that group, came from Northern California. But, he slugged 700 for his career and still had more walks and strikeouts. I mean, think about how bonkers to hit for that much power and have more walks and strikeouts. He won the Triple Crown in the Pac-10 2 years in a row. And these were the Ike Davis teams. And, Arizona State went to Omaha in 2007. They were the team that was upset in a super regional by Fresno State in 2008. But Brett Wallace was bonkers how good of a college player he was and just wore it out to left center field as a left-handed hitter. So, yes, I will gladly take Brett Wallace.
I tend to think of him more as a college third baseman. I don't know where he wound up playing most. Do you have a sense for that?
Way more first base, Fitzy. Like it was kind of like force the issue at third base late in the 2008 season because get more offense on the field. But he really was a first baseman for most of his career. Yeah,
got it.
Yep.
Classic Fitzy questioning the integrity of our list here. So I'm going to go with the third pick. I'm going to go with Spencer Torkelson, or as the Arizona State PA announcer at the time would say, Spencer Torkelson. I think because he existed, a guy I saw in the field, by the way, went to Comerica Park last weekend. Tigers
hit a homer for you.
Fun ballpark. He sure did. I think because he existed right before an era, like, so, he's done in 2020 and the years after COVID, like home runs exploded. So I think in some way, because of the COVID year and because of the offense exploding after that, I think maybe we have started to maybe forget just how bonkers his numbers were at the time, and even still in a vacuum, but certainly at the time, the type of power he was hitting for. So give me Spencer Torkelson at first base.
Joe, one interesting thing about Torkelson is I was going through him versus Brett Wallace. He had more home runs than Brett Wallace's ACU career, and his season got canceled 20 games in. So it gives you a pretty good idea of his power.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be 80 home runs, right? Like it was.
Yeah, he had 6 home runs. Hold on. He had 6 home runs through 17 games in 2020. Outrageous.
Yeah. Incredible.
Nuts.
Okay, so
Kendall,
that means Kendall at first base.
Well, Fitzy taking Dustin Ackley just broke my heart. So I've tried to recover from that. But you know what? I'll have to slum it up and go with Matt Laporta, who had bonkers numbers as well throughout his Florida career. 74 homers, 206 RBI, just a fantastic power hitter. Led the Gators to a national semifinal finish where they lost to Texas in 2005. So I'll go with Matt Laporta.
Love that.
Yeah, the guy who
Go ahead, Joe.
If I was in the 4-hole and somebody would have taken Torque, I was going to go Matt Laporta as well. I'm kind of disappointed to not end up with him, but I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy about that Florida team is like they were good, but Matt Laporta was so good that like he was literally like a one-man wrecking crew in the postseason that year.
That was his senior year, correct? Like he did not leave. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane.
Crazy. All right, so let's do second base. And
tough scene for Andrew Vaughn, by the way. Just my last little thing on first base. Probably the guy who gets
Spikes Award winner and didn't even get a sniff.
Bridesmaid.
Sorry, Andrew. Yeah. We still love you, man.
That's right. Yeah, sorry about your luck. All right, let's talk about the second sackers, the second baseman. Boy, this is a group right here, too. Travis Pizzana of Oregon State, Nick Madrigal of Oregon State, Jim Negrich, is that how we say it, of Pittsburgh? I never actually got to pronounce his name out loud. Ricky Weeks of Southern, Cody Clemens of Texas. Boy, he went off that final year. Jeff Baker of no, that's it. That's our second baseman. Travis Pizzana of Oregon State, Nick Madrigal, Jim Negrich, Ricky Weeks, Cody Clemens, and there's our group. All right, so I'm going first, and boy, give me Travis Pizzana. That feels fairly obvious. I mean, just Australian player comes over. He was. Made a lot of noise right from the jump and then blossomed his junior year into a best player in the country type of guy. And what a fun player in a million different ways. Hit for a ton of power, ran the bases like he was mad at somebody, and obviously just an all-time great Beaver. Joe, I think you are up, right?
Yep. I'm gonna go with Ricky Weeks, a guy who the numbers are insane. Hit 495 one year, hit 467 in a different year. Like his career average is closer to, I think, 500 than it is to 400. Just insane. And you could say, okay, it's Southern University in the early aughts. Like, what is, like, I really don't care. If you're hitting 495 against high school pitching, like I'm going to be pretty impressed. So give me Ricky Weeks, who is just, in today's world, he would have spent 1 year at Southern and then spent the next 2 years probably at LSU. Like, that's just the reality of it. It was just a different time in college baseball, but a supremely good college second baseman with Ricky Weeks.
Love it. Kendall, you're up.
Yeah, I'll go with Nick Madrigal. He's an ultra consistent hitter, premier defender. He's a table setter for those guys at the top of the lineup. And, the fact that he had, over 200 hits in his career, which is a pretty big difference over a guy like Cody Clemens. I like Nick Madrigal.
Love it.
Fitzy.
All right, here's where we go off the board. We're gonna spin it.
Oh no!
Joe knows.
Of course, you're like taking on the role of me.
Take Negrich.
Joe knows.
Just take Jim Negrich.
I do like Jim Negrich. He was a really good player for Pitt. Now works in the scouting industry, I believe, and hell of a hitter. But guys, SEC Player of the Year 2013 was who?
What do I look like? Wikipedia? I don't know. Just tell
Tony
us.
Kemp.
Tony Kemp is the correct answer. All Fit Team Hall of Famer. And I think, again, you have to keep in mind the era, okay? This guy was a dynamic player in a dead offense era. And, you know, he hit 391 as a junior that year. Just a heartbeat of a team that went 26-3 in the SEC. Got a good heartbeat for the game. He's our guy. I was told I can go off the board. I don't want to hear any crap from you people. I went off the board. I'm taking Tony Kemp. Next.
There may or may not be like a little bit of a fomenting insurrection in the background here to get Aaron replaced with Bradley on the show mid-show. So
I thought he was going to go off the board and go with like Brian Steed.
Stop.
Sorry, Pat James. That was a low blow.
Love it.
Let's continue.
All right, so we're going to the third baseman, correct?
Yes,
correct.
All right, let's do it. All right, so our choices at third base are Jeff Baker of Clemson, Evan Longoria of Long Beach State, Alex Gordon of Nebraska, Anthony Rendon of Rice. I was wondering where Chris Bryant was. Here's Chris Bryant, third base for the Toreros of USD, Pedro Alvarez of Vandy. So that's our list at third base. And Joe, you were hitting first here.
I'm going to go Chris Bryant. We've cited it a billion times on this show and others. Just what he did in a time when no one was hitting home runs was insane. So I have to go with him, putting him in the context of the college baseball he played in. He mashed at a time when there wasn't a lot of offense happening. So kudos to him. Chris Bryant, my third baseman.
All-time great stat that Chris Bryant in 2013 out-homered 226 teams. He literally out-homered 226 teams. Incredible.
And it's not like he was playing his home games in what we call Bob Turtle Thomas Stadium, right? Where it's like 360 to center field. Like, I don't know what USD's dimensions are, but I can guarantee you they're not that, you know? So it's just impressive in every respect.
There was a short porch in right field, but he would hit balls like way over that short porch onto the roof of the dorm back there, over the dorm back there. I mean, you know, it was that opposite field power. It was majestic. He'd hit 500 footers in a dead bat era. It was unbelievable. Not seen nothing like
Incredible.
Joe plus 10 for the Turtle Bob stray. Well played. Kendall, you are up.
Yeah, I will go with Anthony Rendon from Rice. You know, he's a guy that I saw up close throughout his career at Reckling. And, you know, he an injury kind of, you know, got him a little off track his junior year. But, I mean, this is still a guy that even in an injury year, he still had 80 walks. I mean, he had 145 walks his last two seasons with the Owls. Obviously, there was that memorable freshman season where he had 20 home runs and 72 RBIs. He was a transformational player for a premier program in Rice.
Sadly, never got to Omaha. That was the kind of the weird thing about
Really?
it is that Rice
I
just
didn't realize that.
couldn't get over the hump. Yeah, there was just you know, he injured himself like on the bullpen mound at LSU one time, and that cost Rice. And it was like one thing after another.
He gets a few extra points from me for that too, because I mean he played through a pretty bad injury in that regional.
Yeah.
Fitzy, go ahead.
Well, I certainly love both of those picks, but I'm very pleased to land Alex Gordon here with the third pick. Nebraska legend, 2005 National Player of the Year. You know, again, kind of like he did everything. I mean, really hit for average and power each of his last 2 years there. I mean, he had a solid enough freshman year too, but the last 2 years he was unbelievable. Played great third base. You know, walked way more, almost twice as much as he struck out. I mean, and you know, got Nebraska to Omaha, which was pretty cool. You know, it was pretty cool to have that program in that ballpark. That 2005 College World Series was very memorable. my first College World Series as a reporter, and it was something else to see the way they packed that place out. But he was the best player in the country that year, just an absolute dude, and he was the year before too. I mean, 2 years in a row of just absurd production. So that's the pick, Alex Gordon.
Love it. I'm going to take Evan Longoria. Man, it makes me yearn for those old school Long Beach State teams. And that was a real moniker, like a real signature for Long Beach State. Man, they had high-end players. I mean, Jason Giambi and Tulowitzki and Jared Weaver. And I mean, the fact that Tulowitzki and Evan Longoria played on the left side of the infield together at Long Beach State. And, think about how times have changed. Evan Longoria had to go to junior college first. He went to Rio Hondo. I think it was because he was like a very, very much focused on volleyball in high school and wasn't even really sure baseball was going to be his thing. So, but man, those Long Beach State teams, just unbelievable. And again, his numbers are depressed because Blair Field back then was literally 17,000 feet through all parts of the ballpark. So, Kendall, you're going to be up at shortstop. Let me get us teed up on these young shortstops. There they are. Oh man, you talk about old.
Shout out to Chris Burke.
Yeah, Dustin Pedroia, Arizona State is alphabetically first shortstop. Vahiva Aloy, Arkansas. Khalil Green, Clemson. Alex Lodis, Florida State. We get some modern flavor there. Alex Bregman, LSU. Chris Burke, Tennessee. Rock Chalowski, UCLA. Look at all these modern shortstops. And Dansby Swanson of Vandy. So, man, what a list. Kendall, who would you like?
I'll tell you what, as much as I absolutely love the 124 stolen bases from Berkey, I got to go with Khalil Green. I mean, those numbers are just stupid. I mean, 95 doubles in his career, 52 home runs, 276 RBIs. Granted, it was during a time when there was a lot of offense there in the late 90s, but early 2000s. But, man, those are just bonkers numbers.
Another guy that came back for senior year.
4 years.
Yeah.
His senior year, I think, is perhaps like without compare, maybe the Buster Posey draft year, but kind of without comparison in a lot of ways as a senior, to come back, going from being a star player to being just like a supernova, one of the best seasons in college baseball history type of season is just really impressive.
Who would the Fitt Dogs like to play shortstop for this famous franchise?
Yeah, there's a lot of good choices here, but guys, I'm going to go ahead and go with our friend Chris Burke. I just think, it's only one season is the drawback here. One season in this century, but that season was so special. I mean, again, this guy hit 435 with 20 homers, 21 RBIs, 11 triples, 49 steals, and 55. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, everything about that line is just a joke. 51 walks against 28 strikeouts. I mean, like, almost impossible to have a better season than that. Can we run it back, retake the vote for the 2001 Golden Spikes Award, because Berkey got screwed. We need justice for Berkey. # justice for Berkey.
What a suck up.
It's amazing. The Rune Dogs will take Dustin Pedroia. I don't think I need to overthink
Shocking that you would take Dustin Pedroia.
That's right. Yeah, a little bit biased there. I will tell you though, like all these guys, like even at a place like Arizona State, program changing player. It's one of those guys. The second he sets foot on your campus, everything is different. Just the kind of like that Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, where everybody plays harder, plays better when this kid's on the field. His sophomore year, I think he hit 410 with 34 doubles. No one ever, and the Pac-10 is what it is now, but that's in the history of that league, no one ever hit 34 doubles. Just bonkers. And smallest guy on the field, but the best player on the field always. This not to stat you guys to death, but this is crazy. Dustin hit 384 for his career, 108 walks to 47 strikeouts. Like when Dustin struck out, you were shocked. You were like, okay, somebody see if the umpire had too much cough syrup, or what happened? Did someone blindfold him or mid pitch, or it was, and he was a 2-time National Defensive Player of the Year. So anyway, just an incredible player. Joe, you have the final shortstop, right?
Sure, because now it's Joe's job to relitigate Alex Bregman versus Dan Swanson.
Good luck with that.
Of this podcast recording. I was a Bregman guy back then. I'm going to stay a Bregman guy now. Going Alex Bregman from LSU, the pride of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Strong pipeline now, by the way. Stephen Milam, also from New Mexico to LSU, and is having a nice career of his own. Yeah, Alex Bregman was one of those players. He reminds me a little bit of Anthony Rendon in this specific way, of just a guy who arrived on a college campus and was immediately like the best player. It was like, oh, this guy's future, a future big leaguer, like a superstar, all that stuff. It didn't take Bregman any time to adjust to not just college baseball, but the SEC. And so I will happily take Alex Bregman and send my apologies to Dansby Swanson.
I think you may have just said this, Joe, if I whiffed on this, but didn't Dansby Swanson that you heard like 46 extra base hits or something bonkers? Like,
yeah,
that whole year.
We were going to be leaving an all-time great on the board here either way, unfortunately.
That's right, no question. All right, boys, let's do outfielders. Let me give you guys the outfield group. Boys, speaking of depth, Andrew Benintendi of Arkansas, Seth Beer of Clemson. Oh boy, that's a Roondog favorite. Wyatt Langford of Florida, James Ramsey of FSU, Kellen Kulbacki of James Madison, Corey Ray of Louisville, Dylan Cruz of LSU, Kyle Lewis of Mercer, Ryan Braun of Miami. Look at you, Steve Stanley of Notre Dame, Jacoby Ellsbury of Oregon State, Enrique Bradfield of Vandy, EBJ of Vandy.
You know what? I tried to, once I saw Steve Stanley on this list, Runes, I was tempted to try to sneak like Chris Colkhorst on here, but I just
he was great too. Oh man.
Yeah.
2003 Rice, I see you. Fitzy, you have the first outfielder here.
Yeah, I do. And it's going to be Dylan Cruz from LSU. Just 3 really, really good seasons, and won the Golden Spikes Award as a junior over Paul Skeens, and you can quibble with that.
Reasonable minds can disagree, they say.
You want. I think I voted for Skeens. I'll put that on the record. But Cruz was the best position player in the country. And, and that was a great watershed draft class. As I'm sure some of these names will get spoken about again in that class. But, boy, I mean, that year Cruz hit 426, 71 walks against 46 strikeouts for a guy that also, hit 426 with 18 bombs. And it was 3 years of elite production. I think he was the National Freshman of the Year his first season, hit 18 or more home runs in all 3 years, hit 350 or better all 3 years. I mean, just absurdly consistent excellence for his entire LSU career, and capped it by winning a national title.
Love that. Boys, I'm going to take Seth Beer. And, because his pro career wasn't what his college career was, he's the perfect example of this list. Seth Beer was a monster in college. And, it's 180 walks plus 42 hit by pitch to 98 punch outs for a guy that hit 56 home runs in 3 years. And I'll never forget his freshman year. Clemson is hosting a regional, and I think it had been a minute since they hosted a regional, and they're in game 1 versus Western Carolina, and they are down 6. Bobby Miranda coached Western Carolina team, and they are down 6-0 late. I mean, it's like the bottom of the 6th inning, and it is getting it was extremely uncomfortable in the stadium. And Seth Beer, as a true freshman in his first NCAA tournament game, came up in late in that game and hit a grand slam off the batter's eye when it was really getting spooky for Clemson. And the second he did that, it was game, set, match. Then they just rolled from there. But just an incredible player. He ran great at bats, and I'm quite surprised, honestly, that his pro career. I just thought he was going to hit and hit and hit. But man, he was one of my all-time favorite college hitters. Joe, you're up.
Yeah, it turns out when it comes to Seth Beer, Major League Baseball is tough.
Yeah, that's
good
right.
players just fall by the wayside all the time. It's kind of crazy sometimes. A guy who probably still has a very bright professional future ahead of him is my pick, and that's Wyatt Langford of Florida. Just maybe one of the best pure hitters we've seen in college baseball, and a great story, right? I mean, at this point, you've all heard it, but just didn't play much at all early on at Florida, and then just all of a sudden just got better. Like classic player development story, was just ready to go after kind of taking some lumps early in his career, and made himself into, again, one of the best pure hitters I've ever seen in college baseball. So I feel pretty good about getting him with a 3rd pick. So Wyatt Langford is my choice.
Kendall.
Yeah, I'll go with Ryan Braun from Miami. You look at his career overall. I mean, as a freshman, he made an immediate impact with 17 home runs, 74 RBIs. And then in his final year with the Canes, 18 homers, 76 RBIs, 388 average. Just a really, really consistent, powerful career for Ryan Braun.
Another NorCal guy that goes to Miami and was awesome. All right, so what? I think I know what I want to do here. Let's not overthink this again either. All right, so I'm going to take Andrew Benintendi. If I'm not mistaken, boys, and I think Google's backing me up here, even in spite of Alex Bregman and Dansby Swanson, as you alluded to, Joe, Andrew Benintendi won both SEC Player of the Year and the Golden Spikes Award that year. And, it's just bonkers that the SEC had 3 players of that ilk all at the same time. But, Cincinnati kid, left-handed hitter, hit a bunch of home runs. He was way more of a power hitter in college than he actually became in pro ball, but just a monster at Arkansas. So give me Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, certainly. I feel like his is a season that kind of already has and will kind of get lost in the shuffle. Like certainly his draft year is just how much of a bonkers season, as you put it, that he had. I believe that takes it to me. And, I want somebody who can go get it a little bit, somebody who can make things happen. I'm going to go with Enrique Bradfield in terms of, really, honestly, maybe the best base stealer we've seen in terms of, yes, he had 80 speed, but also somebody who was such a smart base runner. Like the stolen base IQ, which, a guy like Chris Burke will tell you is just about as important as actual foot speed. He did his homework. He studied. He knew when to go, when not to go. Just a guy who he just never got caught, right? And so that's extremely valuable, especially in today's game, because it's just a little bit of a lost art at the college level. So give me Enrique Bradfield, and the center field, having somebody who can go and get it like that is almost like icing on the cake for him.
Love it. Kendall, you are up.
Yeah, I'll go with Kyle Lewis at Mercer. I kind of remember back when Frankie Polari was with D1Baseball, and like Frankie from like day one of seeing this guy, I think it was at the Cape, was like all in, like put all his chips in. Obviously that hunch panned out, and Lewis had a sensational career for the Bears. 39 home runs, 145 RBIs, really good athlete. Ended up being in the big leagues, and so yeah, I'll go with Kyle Lewis.
Won the Golden Spikes Award also in 2016 in the height of the dead bat era. Had a 20 home run season.
Yeah, it appears Frankie knew what he was talking about, because Frankie is now the scouting director for the Marlins.
Isn't that amazing? Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Fitzy, you are up for your second outfielder.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with something of a sentimental choice here. This was actually the first player that I ever wrote a feature on for the college beat at Baseball America. And that's Jacoby Ellsbury, 2005 college preview. Wrote a piece on him, and it's before Oregon State had done anything. They hadn't been to a regional in over a decade, 12 years, I think it had been. I don't know, 95, something like that. It'd been a while since they had been even to a regional. And this guy helped change their program, and put them on the map. And it was 3 years of hitting for average and stealing bases. It wasn't like the crazy stolen base numbers that I think he did a couple of times in the majors. But it was like, 26 steals, and, you take more walks and strikeouts, and, a bunch of doubles, and hit 406 as a junior. So just a dynamic center fielder defensively. And of course he played, out West, where it was a different offensive context, than it was elsewhere in the country in 2005. And so the fact he didn't hit a ton of home runs, that's fine. He's kind of like Bradfield. He's going to help you in a lot of different ways with the speed, the defense, and hit for average. And just a really, really good player, and a hugely important player in the history of one of college baseball's great dynasties that, he kind of helped get them off the ground, get them to Omaha the first time in 2005.
Good call. Joe, you are up for the third outfielder.
Indeed it is. I'm not really sure who in my outfield is going to play right field given my next pick, but I'm going to take James Ramsey, Florida State, now the head coach, of course, at Georgia Tech. Again, a 4-year guy, a guy who turned himself into a first-round pick just by sheer, you just couldn't ignore him anymore, right? Like undersized guy who just hit and hit and hit and hit. And eventually, the organization just said, okay, fine, we'll draft you in the first round. So really good college player and a kid who could just really, really hit. And it's been interesting to see him kind of mentor Drew Burress, because I think now it's kind of interesting to see how baseball has shifted a little bit, where I think someone like Drew Burress, if he played in James Ramsey's day, might actually be valued a little less in the way Ramsey initially was, but we're a little more evolved in the way we look at draft and player development. And so it's been kind of cool to see a player who has a decent number of likenesses to Ramsey when he was a college player thrive under his tutelage. So anyway, James Ramsey, Florida State legend, is my final outfielder.
Excelente. Kendall, you are up.
Muted.
And it's
You know what?
Green
I'm
too.
actually I don't like our remaining options here all that much. I'm actually going to go off the board and go with our man Drew Burress. I mean, you're talking about a guy 381 as a freshman, 25 homers, 67 RBIs, another All-American season this past year, 333 average, 19 homers, 62 RBIs. Give me Drew Burress.
It's a little bit like in the fact that he's still a current college player. It's a little like when they invited Christian Leitner to be on the dream team,
Oh, great analog. Well done.
Hopefully his career doesn't turn out like Christian
right.
Leitner.
100%. Something tells me Drew Burress will have a better pro career than Christian Leitner did.
It's Leitner was like one of those things where you found out what kind of guy he was, so you weren't remotely shocked.
Yeah. He ain't broke though, man. He made some money now.
He did make some money. No doubt.
Fitzy?
So this is kind of, I think, a sneaky underrated player. And I think it's maybe partly because there were some flaws in his game. There was some swing and miss and never hit for like a crazy average. But Corey Ray had a really nice career at Louisville. I think people forget just how good of a player he was. Another dynamic base stealer who stole bases at a very high rate. He was 44 for 44 as a junior. That's 0 caught stealing. That's pretty good. Year before that, he was 34 for 44. So, he really took strides year over year. And the year before that, he was, a part-time player and only stole 4 bases. So, his last 2 years, he was a dynamic speed, power threat. He did hit 15 home runs as a junior. And again, this was in 2016 when offense was not yet going again. And so, and a key part for some really good Louisville teams that they went to Omaha, twice in his college career? I don't exactly remember, but it's at least once. I know that. I feel like it was more than that. I mean, he was a centerpiece guy for that program when they were really, really, really rolling.
So Fitzy, I think they went in 14, but in 15 and 16, you remember they lost in super regionals to Fullerton and Santa Barbara. But I think to your point, your memory's not wrong. Like both of those Louisville teams, 15 and 16, could have won the national title. Like those were big upsets. And I had the 2016 one, and you're right, Corey Ray was just like you're watching him play college baseball, and you're like, this is what happens when like the number one running back in the country decided to play baseball. But oh, by the way, he's a left-handed hitter. Like just like a freight train on the field with power and twitchiness and just. Man, I mean, ultimately there was a little bit too much swing and miss, it sounds like, in pro ball, but in college baseball, he was a menace. Great pick.
Yeah.
Boy, 2 all-time bad beats in super regionals, for Louisville, 2015 and 2016. I mean, good teams, right? That Santa Barbara team and that Fullerton team, but you're right, Runes. Like two Louisville teams that you just, they wish they had those back, I'm sure.
Juggernauts.
Slamming Sammy Cohen doesn't even make our list. Has a walk-off grand slam to Omaha. Although,
disrespect.
If you only have 27 at bats that season, that's going to hurt you on a list like this.
I was disappointed that Fitzy didn't go off the board and go with Stephen Kwan.
He's a consideration. If I'm looking for an extra outfielder, that's the guy I want.
Let me wrap it, boys. My third outfielder will be, look at me sticking to my biases, Steve Stanley of the Fighting Irish.
Love it.
How about this, boys? 256 runs he scored in his college career. And, his senior year, 2002, Notre Dame wins their regional, goes to Tallahassee, and takes down the number 1 ranked Florida State Seminoles to go to Omaha. Paul Maneri is the head coach. Brian O'Connor's the pitching coach. And we played them that year. And Steve Stanley was like, just an absolute torture machine for pitchers. Like his at bat was basically as long as you want it to be before you let him go to first base. Like, hey, I could go to first base on the first pitch, or I could be here for 15 pitches if you're wired that way. And then when he got to first base, the torture just upped a notch, right? Because now it's his threat of stealing second and third. He was there was a lot of good players on those Notre Dame teams, but man, he was just an absolute game wrecker at the top of the order for those guys, and a huge reason why they went to Omaha.
A quick word for Kellen Kolbacki, the guy left on the board here. One of the all-time, like that, you know, in that era of college baseball, one of the all-time great mid-major, just out of nowhere, who is this guy, performers. His sophomore year hit .464 with 24 homers and 75 runs batted in. Had a pretty good junior year as well, but by that point, you know, the pitching had figured him out a little bit, I guess, maybe draftitis, whatever it was. But his sophomore year was just otherworldly, and a guy who, you know, I don't think many people knew a whole heck of a lot about going into that season.
Love it. All right, boys, let's put a pin in that right there. That's our position player groups. Boy, the fabulous Rune Dogs are built to win a 4-3 game. We are going to defend the whole field. We are going to we like our club. Actually, do we want to do that? Do we want to recap our teams really quickly?
Yeah, let's
Joe.
do that.
Joe, why don't you take us around your squad, please?
I would love to. At catcher, I've got Matt Wieters from Georgia Tech. Again, the kind of the modern patriarch of the Georgia Tech catching legacy, if you will. At first base, I have Spencer Torkelson, as good a power hitter in my mind as we've had in the last 5 to 7 years in college baseball. At second base, Ricky Weeks, a player who laid waste to the SWAC during his time at Southern University under the great Roger Cador. At third base, Chris Bryant, who, in a dead ball era, I guess it was more bats than balls, but did things that nobody else had done. We got Alex Bregman at shortstop, just an immediate superstar for LSU in his time there, an all-time great in that program. And then the outfield, Wyatt Langford from Florida, Enrique Bradfield Jr. from Vanderbilt, and James Ramsey from Florida State. A little bit everything there. Ramsey, just a really good college hitter. Bradfield, all-time great base runner, 80 speed, could obviously hit a little bit too. And then Wyatt Langford, just a really good pure hitter who also happened to be strong enough to also hit a bunch of home runs, but it was pure hit over power in terms of, the top of the scale stuff for him. So feeling pretty good about my team so far, and looking forward to seeing what we do on the two-way players and pitchers later.
Love it. Fitzy, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Coach. The great Buster Posey, Busty Poser, if you will, behind the plate, really just one of the all-time great Seminoles, an iconic player from the first decade of the century. Onward to first base, I picked Kendall's Pocket. I had the first pick. I took Dustin Ackley, incredible 3-year performer from North Carolina. Second base, guys, I went off the board. I had the last pick at this position. I took all-time Fitt fave Tony Kemp, a guy who I think gets short shrift because he played in the deadest of dead ball eras, 2011 to 13 at Vanderbilt, but was the SEC Player of the Year for an incredibly good Vanderbilt team as a junior. Third base, I got Alex Gordon. I mean, for God's sakes, National Player of the Year 2005 for an Omaha team, 2 incredible seasons for Nebraska. Love that pick, first rounder, longtime big leaguer. Where we go next? We got the outfield. Oh no, shortstop. Sorry, shortstop. Come on. I got the most dynamic player of the entire quarter century, Christopher W. Burke. Only played 1 year in this particular sample size. 2001 was the start of our sample size, but he was absurdly good during that season. And I mean, we already been through the numbers. Plus, he's a winner. He's a great coach. He can coach football. He can do a lot of things for you.
You can stop there.
He can diagnose a golf swing just on the fly from the cart, from what I've heard.
Those are facts.
Well,
Easily probably the most competitive person I know.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. All right, onward to outfield, where I took Corey Ray, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Dylan Cruz. So I've got 3 center fielders, I guess. Well, I guess Corey Ray's more of a corner guy, I think. Cruz also, I kind of like. I'll put Ellsbury in center. I'll put Cruz and Ray on the corners, and we'll love our range. Just feel good about all those pieces. Just really dynamic players, but Dylan Cruz in particular was a coup for me. One of the iconic players of the modern era of college baseball.
Love the Fitt Dogs. That's a very good club. The Rune Dogs, I tell you, Wally Kincaid would love my squad because we are very West Coast heavy here. Yeah, but of course the history of college baseball is very West Coast heavy as well. So, but we are biased. Kurt Suzuki of Cal State Fullerton at catcher, 2004 national champ. Brett Wallace of the Sun Devils, 2-time Pac-10 Triple Crown winner at first base. Second base, Travis Bazzana of the Beavs. And at third base, Evan Longoria of Long Beach State. At shortstop, Dustin Pedroia of Arizona State, 2-time Defensive National Player of the Year. Then we start to get a little bit more national. Seth Beer was like Barry Bonds in college baseball. You either walked him or you hit a home run. It was that type of hitter, like crazy power, take a walk as well. Andrew Benintendi is my center fielder, and same thing, like a 20 home run season, but a glider in center field. And then Steve Stanley, I mentioned it, 256 runs scored, just bonkers, of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So they're your fabulous Rune Dogs right there. Go ahead, Fitzy.
I just wonder if we're gonna let Kendall recap his team.
Oh, you didn't do it, Kendall? I thought Kendall did.
I don't really need to. I don't really need
All right,
to.
I'll go real quick. I got Adley Rutschman, catcher from Oregon State, national champion. Matt Laporta, who guided his team to a national runner-up finish from Florida at first. Nick Madrigal from Oregon State at second base. Anthony Rendon at third base for Rice. Khalil Green, one of the all-time single seasons in college baseball history at Clemson. Ryan Bryan, Miami, who played primarily infield in college, but we'll throw him in the outfield. Kyle Lewis from Mercer, who's a Golden Spikes winner, as Fitt pointed out earlier. And then I went off the board here and went Drew Burress, just 2 outstanding seasons to begin his Georgia Tech career. And we'll see if he can best those 2 seasons here in 2026. What'd you say, Fitt?
I love the Burris pick because you're right. That guy might wind up winning the dang Golden Spikes Award this year, but even if he doesn't, was he a first team All-American each of his first 2 years? Something like that. It was
crazy.
Really
to be a freshman and be an overall first team All-American is insane.
Yeah.
I love the Anthony Rendon pick too because he's not that big of a person, but just an absolute masher. So good.
And one of the elite defensive third basemen I've ever seen, too. I mean, don't forget that piece.
No doubt. Very good. All right, boys. Now we will take a pause and we will come back and we will do the pitchers. And let's so everyone stay right there. We'll come back and we'll get it going on the mound.
Right, this is Kendall Rogers from D1Baseball with my new TurtleBox Ranger right here and the next generation TurtleBox behind me. You may have seen one of these while LSU was on its road to another national championship in Omaha. The Tigers always had their purple and gold custom TurtleBox with them. I absolutely love mine. I take it everywhere with me. The backyard, the pool, my son's football practice, and even on the road with me, anywhere I go, I have it in my car. The sound quality is amazing, and they're durable as heck. They even magnetize to a golf cart, the TurtleBox Ranger, that is. Use the link below to head over to turtleboxaudio.com and get yours today.
We are doing part 2 of our quarter-century all-time greats team for college baseball, and we picked our position player groups, and now championships are won on the mound, and we're gonna address that side of the equation. I'm not gonna read the starting pitchers to us. I will intro the relief pitchers and the two-way players when we get to that. We're gonna pick 5, draft 5 starters, and then 2 relievers each, and then a two-way player. That's gonna be fun. I'm glad we're doing that last because boy, college baseball is an amazing tradition of two-way players. But we're gonna select 20 starting pitchers so that we can get after that list by doing that. So Kendall, you are up first. Do you want to kick us off with your first starting arm?
Yeah, I'm going to take the lowest of all hanging fruits here. I'm going to go with Paul Skeens. I mean, this is a guy that 209 of his 300-plus strikeouts were in his single season in the Southeastern Conference. Looking at his synergy numbers, a 60% whiff rate on the changeup and the slider. I mean, that's just ridiculous when you throw 100 with your fastball. So give me Paul Skeens, the single most dominating season, I think, in modern college baseball history.
How about it? Fitzy, what are you going with?
Well, I'm going to keep it chalky here and take Steven Strasburg, 2009 Golden Spikes Award winner, San Diego State. Until Skeens, Strasburg was the best I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
That junior year was 13-1, 1.32 ERA, 195 strikeouts against 19 walks in 109 innings. He had like a 23 strikeout game. Was that one a no-hitter, or was a no-hitter a separate one? I can't remember. I mean, it was like every week he was doing some insane thing. And it was just the unprecedented for me at that time, at least until Skeens. But I mean, the combination of top shelf stuff. I mean, a guy who could throw 100 in a time when not everyone threw 100, but it was like 96 to 100 with real command in the zone of the fastball. It was a wipeout breaking ball with real command. It was a really good put away changeup with real command. It was three absurd, like all three of those pitches might have been the best pitch in the whole class. And he had command of all of them. It was just, and listen, he also was great the previous 2 years, especially his sophomore year, but that junior year in 2009 in an offensive era, wow. I mean, just wow. I still look back on it, and there's no wonder that guy got the hype that he got come out of that draft that year.
All right, so I'm going to stay with the generational pitchers, and I'm going to go Mark Pryor. Mark Pryor is an amazing story where he started his career at Vanderbilt, and this John Savage was Mike Gillespie's lead assistant at USC at the time, and in back-to-back years, USC had transfer pitchers named Barry Zito and Mark Pryor. So if we think that the transfer portal is a little unfair now, welcome to my world as a young assistant coach in Tempe, Arizona. And your head coach is staring at you like, when do we get a Barry Zito and a Mark Pryor? You're like, well, let me get back to you on that. Mark Pryor's junior year at USC was the most bonkers thing you've ever heard of in your life. He was 15-1. He only had 18 starts. He was 15-1 with a 1.69 ERA. He had 6 complete games. 3 of those were shutouts. It was 138.2 innings. He walked 18 guys, 18 walks. He had the same number of walks as starts and almost more wins than walks. And he had 202 strikeouts, 202 strikeouts to 18 walks. It was what you just mentioned, Fitzy. They're kind of different style a little bit, but Pryor was kind of like, it was not a way over the top. It was kind of high 3/4, mid 3/4, just dotted the lower down and away, the 4 spot, as people call it, command of everything anytime. It was just so unfair. He was all-time awesome. Joe, go ahead.
Pat Murphy hit Runes with a, when are we going to get a Barry Zito? And Runes had to give him a standby. Just hold on, see what I could do.
Working on it.
Where? Yeah, exactly. All right, give me Garrett Cole from UCLA. Just an absolute dude all 3 years at UCLA. Freshman year of 3.49 ERA, and mind you, in a very offensive era, 3.49 ERA, 104 strikeouts in 85 innings. The next year, everything got better. The year after that, everything got better. Into his college career with just some bonkers numbers, 376 career strikeouts in 3 seasons. Again, a very, very, very offensive era. And on 3 very good UCLA teams was Garrett Cole. So going to go with him in the 4 spot. My pocket got picked 3 times with guys I would have taken, but I guess that just means we're drafting well.
Yes. Fitzy, you're next. Don't you do this. Don't you take my guy. Don't even think about it.
I know who he's thinking about because I'm thinking about the same dude.
I mean, I'm thinking about 4 different guys.
So
I want to
many
make
choices.
There's one guy that I just plain have to make sure he's on my team. So I think I'm going to reach for him. I think this is probably not one of the guys y'all are thinking of.
Oh boy!
But I gotta have Michael Roth on my team.
Yeah.
Cannot risk it coming back around and me not getting Roth. I think he probably would still be there because he's not as prospecty as these other guys, but he is the most accomplished college pitcher of this era, of this 25-year sample size. When you think about the fact that this guy was in Omaha 3 years in a row, he was, for those last 2 years, he was the best pitcher on that Omaha team. The first time they went to Omaha, you recall, he had been just like a lefty reliever. This is 2010 as a sophomore. You throw him in there in a must-win game against Clemson. And did he go the distance? Did he go like, was that like a 3-hit shutout? Listen, I'm going to get the details wrong, but he came up huge out of nowhere as a lefty reliever that year as a sophomore. Junior year, he comes back 2011. This is the first year of the new era, and he was perfectly made for this era. Just a lefty, pitch to contact, low slot joker with an elite changeup and could spin it enough, was not afraid to bust in with a fastball at 86, 88. 106 ERA. that year, 14-3, 1.06 ERA for a team that won it all.
He lost
And
3
then
games.
He somehow lost 3 games, but
With a
the next
1.06
year,
ERA.
his senior year, he's the guy. He's returning with his track record, the best pitcher in the country, and he's another 901, 243 workhorse ace, gets his team to the national championship series. They lose to Arizona, but I just think his importance in college baseball is almost unrivaled for any of the players we're talking about, just because who else has got multiple rings, first of all, and has a season with a 1.06 ERA. I mean, all right, sign me up. I know he's not the prospect, but one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I think he changed Ray Tanner's career. I mean, obviously those national titles did, but Michael Roth was such a confident, cool customer, and Ray Tanner was so intense as a coach. They were like a perfect pairing, just so perfect together. So that's a great one.
Yeah.
I'm going, give me Timmy time. I want Tim Lincecum. And,
Damn.
Talk about a guy that changed modern pitching.
Love that guy.
Who changed, like we pitch now the way Tim Lincecum pitched 20 years ago, right? Where we're less concerned about walks. We're super focused on missing bats, and it's all about momentum. But his college stats when he went to Washington were bonkers. Here are his 3 seasons in strikeouts: 161 strikeouts as a freshman, 131 as a sophomore, 199, 199 strikeouts.
He averaged 14.9 strikeouts his junior year.
It's just
crazy.
By
the way, I saw Lincecum pitch against A&M back in the 2000s. Obviously, it was like 38 degrees. It was sleeting, and he struck out like 14. And I think A&M was ranked like 8th in the country that year, and he punched out 14 in those kind of conditions.
3 straight seasons of over.
Unfortunately, that was all Washington had. But
yeah. They was kind of like the end of a really good era for them. They were coming off a really good run under Ken Knutson, but Timmy time was something else. So
good.
I believe he beat out Andrew Miller for the 2006 Golden Spikes Award. Miller got the Baseball America Award, which was a split decision there. But Lincecum was so special just because of the absurd strikeouts and the tiny frame. Just as we all know, like how wiry he was and just how electric the stuff was, and but it was also like a higher walk rate, and that ERA was a little higher, relative to some other guys. And so it's just a very fascinating pitcher, really one of the most unique pitchers, certainly of the last 25 years.
Yeah, total pioneer. Joe, go ahead.
Give me David Price for Vanderbilt. Again, another guy kind of similar to Cole in this way, where, obviously was coming into a program that Vanderbilt was kind of on the early end, actually very much on the early end of its run under Tim Corbin. And I think you could probably make the argument that David Price is as important as anyone else that they brought in, because he was a part of those teams that went from, isn't this cool story about this moribund SEC program that has found its way with this head coach, to, this is a budding juggernaut. Like David Price was right in the middle of all of that and was a real guy for them 3 straight years. And I also just like I think we've seen this throughout his big league career, was a big game pitcher, was a guy that you want on the mound kind of when the stakes are high. So feel pretty good about David Price here.
Kendall, you are up for your second pitcher.
Yeah, I'm going to go with who I believe was the best UCLA pitcher of that rotation. I'm going to go with Trevor Bauer. I mean, you look back at his junior year with the Bruins, averaged 13.37 strikeouts per start, 203 strikeouts, 36 walks, and 136 2/3 innings. Just an unbelievable year. And he had an unbelievable career for the Bruins. He had 165 strikeouts as a sophomore for John Savage's club. So even though he was if I remember right, he was the number 2 starter. To me, he was like, he pitched like the ace.
And it's interesting because even though he pitched on Saturdays, even Savage, because he won the Golden Spikes Award that year, he actually had, I think, clearly the better career in college than Cole. Yeah. Clearly, not close. He won the Golden Spikes Award that junior year, and Savage even said, "Yeah, like he's pitching on Saturdays, but like those are all day games when the ball travels and it's easier to see. Like it's actually easier to pitch on Friday nights when it's dark and the light is out here in the West aren't necessarily awesome everywhere, and that you got marine layers, ball's not carrying. Like for him to go out and do what he did on Saturdays at 1:00 all year long is even more impressive.
Also impressive is the fact that Michael Roth led South Carolina team beat them in a series to win the College World Series. So
incredible.
But By the way, Aaron, another guy who has 2 rings on the mound, Chase Shores. So take that. Chase Shores, Michael Roth on equal ground.
Fair.
Love it.
That's
All
a
right.
low blow on Chase Shores.
I'm not dogging Chase Shores.
I'm
Very good
messing
pitcher.
with you.
Okay.
Set the record straight. Boys, this could not have gone better for the Rune Dogs. So another favorite. We're going to go Thomas Eshelman.
Yep, I knew it.
Oh,
gosh. How
that's
about
a great pick. That's who I was thinking Fitzy was going to take as a second pitcher.
I wanted him. I thought he'd come back around to me.
2013 to 2015, incredible era for Cal State Fullerton again. And Thomas Eshelman, we've said this stat a million times, and it just never gets old. He had 28 victories, 28 wins in 3 years. He walked 18 hitters. He walked 18 hitters in 375 college innings. I mean, to have more victories than walks is the most bonkers thing ever. He threw the ball into the strike zone as if he didn't realize the hitters had bats. Like he didn't even know they were actually trying to bat the baseball. It was just a glorious. And, in that 2015 Super Regional at Louisville, he was, incredible in that. And so, one of the all-time great Titans. So give me Thomas Eshelman.
A guy you felt like if the strike zone was the size of a coffee can, could have, made it work. And to me, and this is not to take anything away from him, I think to me, this I think is additive to his legacy of just a guy who understood the environment of college baseball he was pitching in, where he was like, look, they're not going to beat me. I'm just going to keep pounding the zone and assume it's going to work. And it just always did. And so I give him a lot of credit because he seemed to figure it out on a level that others just didn't. And he had the command to be able to pull it off.
Amen. Go ahead, Joe.
Give me Andrew Miller, a guy I'm kind of a sucker for guys from that era of college baseball, in part because of the offensive environment in which they were pitching. Because I think some of the things they accomplished are a little bit magnified. Give me him. I'm not even really considering the part of it, although I think this could be additive as well, as a guy who, like, if I was actually building out a pitching staff, I think we proved between his time at Carolina and his time in the big leagues that it's a guy you can put in kind of whatever role, and he could do it well, and a guy who knows how to kind of shape shift based on what his team needs from him. So if we were actually going to somehow magically be able to field these teams against each other, I would feel pretty good about having him as a guy that I could just kind of use as a swing guy in whatever I needed.
Love that. Gosh, there's so many great names on this list. It's bonkers. Oh my gosh. So many great choices. Kendall, you're up for number 3 for you.
I'm going to create some PTSD for our beloved producer, Pat James. I'm going to go with Carlos Rodon. I was looking back at some of Carlos's starts and his sophomore season, guys. Carlos Rodon threw 10 innings in a start against North Carolina, struck out 14. Just a few weeks later, in the College World Series, he carries a no-hitter into the 5th inning against the Tar Heels in Omaha. And so, I just think if you look at Rodon and you look at his career, 184 strikeouts as a sophomore, averaged 12.51 strikeouts per start as a sophomore, 10.67 strikeouts per start as a junior. Just an incredible year career for the Wolfpack.
I think I will just come to Pat James's defense here and point out that I don't believe NC State won that game against Carolina, that legendary ACC tournament game where he threw 10 innings. And
they did win the Omaha game 8-1 though. But an awesome career, man. I mean, to do that as a sophomore in the postseason, carry a no-hitter into the 5th against a rival, I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
His freshman year too was so good, Rodon. I mean, national freshman of the year, just so mature. Like that was probably his best season, I would say. Lowest ERA, 1.57 ERA as a freshman. I mean, he was really, really outstanding 3 years in a row. That 14 team that didn't make the postseason is still stunning. That in Rodon and Turner's junior years, they didn't make the postseason. It wasn't Carlos's fault. He pitched to a 2.01 ERA and went 6-7. I mean, what are you going to do? Incredible college pitcher.
Fitzy, keep the mic. You're up.
Thanks. I cannot believe.
Thanks.
I mean, God, now it's making me nervous that I missed something because, how could Jared Weaver still be on the board?
Yeah, it's a great question.
don't understand, but absurd how good this guy was his sophomore and junior years at Long Beach State. Sophomore year, and again, offensive era, not the most offensive era, but certainly an offensive era. 2003, he goes 14-4, 1.96 ERA, strikes out 144. Okay, we're having a good year. Junior year, guys, he takes it to a different level. He goes 15-1. ERA is 1.63. How about, you talk about Pryor's strikeout walks and Strasburg strikeout walks. This is right there with him. 213 strikeouts against 21 walks. That's a 10-1 ratio. If my back of the napkin math checks out. And 144 innings. Unbelievable. Incredible Long Beach talent in those days. Coach Weathers had it rolling. You had, as we talked about before, Tulo and Longoria in that era. But this guy was another one of those iconic players from the early, part of our 25-year window, and went on to have a great pro career, of course, with the Angels.
That 2004 Long Beach rotation, 3 big leaguers: Weaver, Cesar Ramos, and Jason Vargas. Bonkers.
Yeah, Vargas. Yeah, that's right. The lefty. That was, and they didn't make it to Omaha, right?
No,
I think they lost the Super.
Yeah, Arizona clipped them in the Super.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Andy Lopez, Kelsey Lopez. Yep.
Yeah, the at that time there was nothing cool. Like if I could just snap my fingers and make Long Beach State a power again, I would do it. Just because there was nothing cooler than like the LB interlocking LB hats with the players they had on those teams. Like it just didn't get a whole lot better. And so to see them not be that anymore it kind of hurts my heart as a college baseball purist.
It's hard not to get wistful about the days when Long Beach and Fullerton and Wichita State and Pepperdine and all these kinds of places were like, really relevant national powers in baseball. It was just a cool thing.
A cool quirk of the sport.
A cool quirk.
Yeah. Runes, I believe that's me. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
All right. So this is one where I know I would be totally stricken with grief if I did not have this guy on my team by the time we did this. So I'm probably reaching, but I'm going to do it because now that I've gotten my horses on my staff, right? Like I want to make sure I get this guy. Before Vahiva Aloy played for Dave Van Horn, Shane Komine played for Dave Van Horn at Nebraska.
Dude.
Just Hawaiian Punch Out.
Yeah. Just the idea in 1990, because he played from 99 to 02, and the idea in the late 90s that this kid from Hawaii, who was not a big high school prospect, wasn't like this hulking 6'4" just dude. I mean, that Nebraska got this guy. And then it turned out that, oh yeah, by the way, he's going to be one of the best pitchers in college baseball throughout his career at Nebraska. And to me, he's the guy that kind of, I think, defines that era of Nebraska baseball with Dave Van Horn. And as much as I talk about, he wasn't a big prospect, he wasn't, this, that, and the other thing. The numbers are ridiculous. He had 2 years where he struck out 157 batters or more. Over his 4-year career in college, he struck out 510 batters over a 4-year career for Nebraska. So again, I understand that that's probably a little bit of a reach, but it sounds like based on the reaction from the three of you, maybe it wasn't, to make sure I get him on my list, because I could not have Shane Komine on my team.
In no way a reach. Like was very much on the Rune Dog short list. That was well done, Joe. Yeah, but again, another program changing dude. KR, you are up for your 4th starter.
Yeah, I will go with Taylor Youngman from Texas from 2009 to 2011. 1.85 ERA, pretty incredible, no matter the era. 356 strikeouts and 355 and 2/3 innings. Youngman was a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, I saw him a lot, with my proximity to Austin, and just a ultra hard-nosed kind of country kid. And every time out, it was just pure dominance. I think back to, was it Arizona State? They played that year that he just absolutely dominated them. And that was a really good ASU lineup. So Taylor Youngman for me.
I'm bummed that we didn't get him in the era of metrics, because if you remember, like, he was interesting, right? I think he was like 6'5", 6'6", and
a lot of extension.
Yeah, extension. That's right. Because it was 88 to 92, but man, he just carved people up every time out.
He was better than that at his peak. He was more like a 92, 95, even 6. I think you'd see that, and then I think his junior year didn't really His stuff was down, if I recall.
You know,
But I think the point still stands though, because he was he was not seen as stuff guy. Like it was definitely like a little bit of the phrase disappearing fastball used to get thrown around a lot more than it does now, just because we didn't understand why people weren't hitting the 92 or 93, whatever it was. Definitely a guy who that comes to mind for.
Fitzy.
It's getting hard to make decisions, but again, can't believe Aaron Nola's still here. I mean, Aaron Nola, iconic LSU Tiger from 2012 to 2014. Again, back-to-back years with ERAs in the ones. 1.57 as a sophomore, 1.47 as a junior. He went a combined 23-2 over those 2 seasons, and strikeouts and lower walk rates, and just any role you wanted him in. I mean, mostly he was, I guess I shouldn't say that, but like I think of his freshman year, I feel like he made some vital bullpen appearances. I don't know. I just have that in my head, but I know he was a workhorse in the rotation is what he was. And it was that lower slot, and it just got on you. We all know Aaron Nola. He's still in the big leagues. He's a dude, but I mean, it's just incredible feel for pitching, and the ball got on you, and he carved during that era for sure.
Love that. All right, so the Rune Dogs are going to take Kumar Rocker, another guy that we all saw in person. I got to first of all, a guy that probably should have never made it to college, but comes from a very unique family with a great perspective, and the Vandy education, the ability to pitch in that program, and his freshman year, game 1, opening weekend doesn't get out of the second inning, and then 4 months later, he's pitching in game 2 of a super regional against Duke, and Vandy's already lost game 1. And he's a true freshman that's got to save their season. And he's facing Bryce Jarvis, by the way, who's like a big leaguer. So it's a real problem for Vandy. And Kumar Rocker goes 19 strikeout, no hitter as a true freshman. And remember, he's got COVID in there too, but in his 2 seasons where he could have pitched in the postseason, Vandy won the national title when he's a freshman and finished second, lost to Mississippi State in the finals when he was a junior. So just, was one of the most famous players of his era. That means back to you, KR.
All right. I will go with Brady Singer. I just loved him as a college pitcher. You always think back to the GIF of him like being pissed at the rain. And, in addition to just being a hard ass, like he was an awesome pitcher for the Gators. And so I just think if you look at, what he did throughout his career, 3.22 ERA, 281 strikeouts, just 71 walks, by the way, and 282 and 2/3 innings of work. Give me Brady Singer +5 on the bar fight meter too.
I think you're going light on the +5. That's like, I go +200.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who cusses out the rain, I mean, you're pretty hard.
All-time great clip.
Although, who hasn't wanted to cuss out the rain if you're at a regional in Gainesville?
Apologies if you said this, Kendall, but wasn't that Florida rotation was
Singer, and
Faedo?
Faedo was your Sunday guy. Pretty good, huh?
Good play.
That's why they won a national title. Fitzy, you're up for your 5th starter.
I'm bummed I only get to pick one more because there are at least 3 guys that I really want. I'm going to save one of them for you, Coach Rooney. And I'm going to go ahead and take – I don't think I have any Titans on my team. Give me Wes Romer. And again, this is just a little all-fit joker. I mean, undersized bulldog. You talk about bar fight meter through the roof guy.
Him and Singer would be like a hell of a tandem.
Yeah, I mean, he was a mean little SOB, I'll tell you, and he just competed his tail off. I mean, 3 years in a row. How about the 145 strikeouts against 7 walks in his sophomore year? Is that good? I think
Wasn't it like his 7th or 8th start of the year before he walked somebody? It was something weird like that. Or am I thinking of Eshelman?
I think you are thinking of Eshelman.
I think I'm thinking of Eshelman. It was like literally like the 10th.
They're very similar dudes.
He walked someone.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like he's not quite Eshelman when it comes to being the patron saint of strike throwers, but it's not that far off. His junior year, 150 strikeouts since he had 22 walks. So just 3 years of being a stud, but especially his last two. Fullerton was very good during this era. They were in Omaha in 05 and 07, I believe. He was a key piece, especially for that 07 team. He was the ace. So
6 and 7. Yeah, both of those years. Yeah. Yeah. My favorite part about Wes Romer, Fitzy, is that, like, first of all, there was no 3-ball counts. Like that was not ever going to happen. But if he did go 3-0 or 3-1 on you, you were more likely to get a ball in your rib cage than you were to walk. Like he had more hit by pitch than walks, significantly so. Right. And I love that. Like, why walk somebody when you can drill them and really send them?
I wonder where Runes is going to go here.
Well, I don't want to violate the game rules, but this is a very tough choice for me that I'm going to go the obvious place you think I'm going to go, Kendall, but there's a really, it's heartbreaking that I can't have this other guy, and I'll save that for later. But yes, I have to take Mike Leake. Mike Leake was pitched 2007 and 2009 at ASU in an incredible era, right? Like 2007, that's an Omaha team. 2008, a team that could have won the national title, but they got clipped by Fresno State in the Super Regional in Game 3. And then 2009, they were in the Final Four. They had advanced past North Carolina, the Dustin Ackley team, and they were playing Texas in that winners bracket game.
Oh, that's right.
And they're up. Mike Leake's up 6-0. Early in that was one I still contend 2009, one of the all-time great Omahas. 35 big leaguers in that Omaha. It was bonkers. And
I recall it was top one, right? Is ASU puts up 6 runs, top one, and then Augie reams out his boys in between innings, and they come out and put up 7 against Leake at the bottom of the first.
I don't think it was, but it was. I think it was not that early in the game. But you're right. Like ASU's up 6-0 with Leake on the mound. Leake was 16-0. At that point in the season. Crazy. Mike Leake won 40 games, boys, in 3 years. Just do the math on that real quick. To win 40 college baseball games in 3 years. And the other thing about Mike Leake is he's our size, right? Like way smaller than you, Kendall, like as far as everything. He's 6 foot, I don't know, maybe 6'1", and lean. You guys know there was mythology at the time that, and maybe not untrue, that Mike Leake was the best shortstop at Arizona State in that era. He just didn't get to do that because he was too busy.
There was one coach, by the way, in fall ball that one of those years that told me that swore to me that Mike Leake was going to get moved to shortstop. Yeah, that never happened.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I watched those practices. He was the best shortstop in the program, but you can't have your shortstop.
Runes, like looking back at that time, like what was it that you guys saw behind the hood on like Leake that was so impressive, like stuff wise?
Well, it was a good arm, obviously. Like he threw in the 90s, but the command, he was a San Diego kid, so the command was outrageous. The other thing about Mike Leake was he could win any type of game. Like if the wind was gusting out, he'd throw 100 sinkers. If the umpire was willing to call fastball up, he'd throw 100 four-seamers. If the other team couldn't hit spin, he'd throw 80 sliders. If the other team was left-handed, he'd throw 70 changeups. Like he could win any game. And I'll tell you, there was a little bit of you commit a crime, but your heart rate doesn't go up type of thing. Whereas competition, his competitiveness was incredible. Like he never got worked up, but just was so dominant. It was amazing. So anyway, Mike Leake, very pleased. There's one more guy though, Fitzy, that I wanted so bad on my team that I didn't have room for. Joe,
I specifically have a couple guys. It would be more fun for me to take, but I just can't not take Jack Leiter. It's a relatively short track record because of the COVID season, but the full season that he had was bonkers, right? And we see with the way he's moved through the big leagues, what kind of pitcher he is. So to me, he just sticks out a little bit as like too good to pass up in this spot. But like I said, no disrespect to him, obviously, but there are just guys, I think, that are just some fun names and some guys who I think are a little bit underrated for what they really were as college players, whether it's because they didn't have distinguished big league careers or because it was just a different era of the sport. But so Jack Leiter it is.
Fitzy, now, before you go, let's recap our rotations and I will read off the relievers to us. But why don't you start us off, Fitzy? Give us your rotation, please.
Yep. Steven Strasburg and Michael Roth. You've got generational talent and then just a generational performer. You've got Jared Weaver, who checks all those boxes. You got Aaron Nola from LSU. And then Wes Romer, just kind of a all-fit, underappreciated, great Cal State Fullerton Titan.
By the way, if you come in to face the fabulous Roon Dogs at Packard Stadium with no lights, my weekend rotation, Mark Pryor, then Tim Lincecum, and then Thomas Eshelman. Are you kidding me? Your hitters are going to leave there ready for therapy. And then, by the way, if you dare schedule me for a Tuesday, Wednesday, you're getting Kumar Rocker and Mike Leake in the midweek. So, man, the Roon Dogs. Kendall, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I went with this guy named Paul Skeens, if you've ever heard of him. Trevor Bauer, Carlos Rodon, Taylor Youngman, and the pride of the University of Florida, Brady Singer.
It's good. That's a good rotation, too. Joe?
Decent.
The lights at Packard Stadium, talk about a disappearing fastball. My rotation is made up of Garrett Cole, David Price, Andrew Miller, Shane Comine, and Jack Leiter.
Three tall glass of water and 2 short kings, Joe.
That's right. That's right.
Right there.
That's what we call variety.
All out getters. All right, boys. Let me read the relievers to you. So, oh man, what a list this is. Kevin Kopps of Arkansas, Houston Street of Texas, David David Berg of UCLA, Matt Price of South Carolina, Blair Erickson of UC Irvine, Chad Cordero of Cal State Fullerton, Ryan Wagner of Houston, and Dave Bush of Wake Forest. Gosh, so many of these guys stuck it up my keister. I really had some bad
Wow.
I had some bad experiences with many of these relievers. Fitzy, who would you like to draft there?
Well, I think I got to put my money where my mouth is here because I've been saying for a long time that David Berg is the greatest closer in college baseball history. You can make a case for a couple of the other guys on this list as well, but Berg for 4 years, I mean, everyday Dave, for 4 years, I mean, even as a freshman in 2012, he made 50 appearances, right? 1.46 ERA. He's kind of their setup guy at that time. Then sophomore year is 51 more appearances, 0.92 ERA. How about 24 saves? Is that any good? I believe that is that the all-time record for saves in a season? I believe that is certainly the record for most appearances in a season, 51. That was as the guy for the UCLA team that won it all in 2013. Really, and then the next 2 years also, I mean, just continued to just do his thing. 11 more saves as a junior, 13 as a senior with, a 0.67 ERA. Crazy. I mean, just that, low slot sinker joker, sinker slider guy that it was a great fit for that era where you pitch to contact, but he could miss bats too. I mean, plenty of, he averaged about a strikeout an inning for a good chunk of his career. So just a winner and just one of the most important, impactful players of that decade.
Love that. All right, so I'm up next. There's so many great choices here. I'm going to go David Bush of Wake Forest, and those were really good teams. David Bush is from my same area. He's from suburban Philly, from Delaware County, Conestoga High, and he was a high school catcher that was being recruited, but people were worried would he hit, and then next thing you know, he's a relief pitcher at Wake Forest, and it was just dominant. I mean, he pitched in 142 games in his Wake Forest career, finished 141 of them, and just a game changer. Like, you're playing Wake Forest in that era, and they were very good at that time, and he was like always the second you show up at the park, David Bush was lurking, right? Like, because he was going to finish the game, so you better get a lead so you could take him out of play. So got to coach him in Alaska too. Just a great dude. Has had a great big league career, both as a player and a coach. And the Roon Dogs are thrilled to get David Bush, Conestoga Pioneers.
They say somewhere Dave Bush is still warming up to come into the game at Wake Forest. He's still there, just throwing pitches.
The ghost of.
The ghost of Dave Bush. Former Houston Astros killer. As a guy who grew up in Houston, I watched that guy carve up the Astros time and again for the Brewers.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go with Ryan Wagner. And
yeah, I figured you'd go that route.
For those saying who, let me read you off. First of all, 2-year guy, was a draft-eligible sophomore when there were fewer of those. His freshman year was, I was going to say fine. It was great. But it's really his sophomore year that puts him over the top, where in 79 1/3 innings, he had 148 strikeouts, which comes out to a 16.79 strikeout per 9-inning rate. On a very good 2003 Houston Cougar team that got to a super regional against eventual national champion Rice. One of a number of bad beats that the Houston Cougars had in super regionals. They were in several, and it always seemed like they came up against a juggernaut. They had to play Texas in one of them, but they got the national champs. That was a team that in Houston gets referred to as the Sullivan-Wagner team, because that Brad Sullivan was the ace of the staff, and Ryan Wagner was the closer, and got to the big leagues. Ryan Wagner did that same year at a time when that didn't happen really at all. Now that kind of feels like it's always on the table for a certain number of guys, but in 2003, let me tell you that was not. So a little bit of a deep cut, but going with Ryan Wagner.
Michael Bourne was on that team too, right?
Yeah,
it was Michael Bourne, I believe.
In back-to-back years, I think they were super regional teams, because we hosted them in 2002, and they were the 1 seed and we were the 2 seed, if memory serves. That was Pedroia's freshman year, and that Houston team came in there, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? Like Wagner's back there, Sullivan, Jesse Crane, Michael Bourne, the Cooley kid, Ryan who was the catcher? Anyway, there was big leaguer after big leaguer, and you're like. I think David Pierce and Todd Winning were the 2 assistant coaches for that.
It was Shane Wright was the catcher, right? It wasn't.
Well, Chris Snyder was before that.
Chris
Snyder,
that's
it.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a who of like coaching staffs, like truly. So yeah, they were cooking back then. So, and it had Rice not been doing what it's doing, I think it would have gotten paid a little more attention to. But the fact that like just however far down the road that there was a team that was operating at the highest level of anybody in college baseball kind of makes it to where that era of Houston Cougar baseball gets forgotten a little bit.
Before you go, Kendall, to put a bow on this, in that 2002 regional, Michael Bourne did a push bunt up the first baseline, and our first baseman, he deferred. Like he just was like, yeah, I'm good. It's like he basically looked at the ball and he's like, no, we ain't doing that. I'm sorry. Not in my contract. It was, and he wasn't wrong, by the way. There was no chance we were getting Michael Bourne out at first base.
Yeah, if the bunt got down with Michael Bourne, you were toast. Like that. That's just bonkers, all it was.
Yeah. Kendall, you're up.
Yeah, I thought about this one pretty hard. I'm going to go with Matt Price, kind of along the same lines as Fitz. He was just talking about how important Roth was to that run. Matt Price, it was like, man, when he came in the game, it was over. And you think back at 267 strikeouts and 211 innings, just incredible run there for Matt Price. So I go with him. Just his importance, his dominance, just the combination there that ultimately led to a national championship for the Gamecocks.
Oh man, this leaves that's a great one, Kendall. This is a very tough choice for me. I'm gonna go Houston Street. And
yeah, that's a good pick.
He just was such an animal on the mound, and in 3 years, 105 appearances, and as the story's told to me, I think Frank Anderson was the pitching coach at Texas at the time for Augie.
Yes.
And they lowered the arm slot, and Houston Street was really like, I think he's the son of a quarterback, and his dad was an all-time great Texas football player, and it wasn't going awesome for Augie at Texas yet. Like up until the 2000 season, people really didn't like Augie very much at Texas. He was very much the Californian, and the 2000 team went to Omaha, and I was on the wrong end of that one too. And then 2002 they won it all, and Houston Street was a freshman. He was a big part of that, and just another one of those guys where at the end of the game he would throw whatever you need, right? It's like, do you need 3 outs? Do you need 6 outs? Do you need 12 outs? Whatever, he's got it. He's thrown from a funky slot. He's like an animal of a competitor on the mound, and another one of those program-changing players.
A 1.31 career ERA and 178 in the third innings. From 2002 to 04, that's insane. A 1.31 ERA in that era.
Yep. Houston Street, he was like the Monty Python cartoon where the character keeps getting body parts chopped off, but he keeps fighting. It's like Houston Street, you're gonna have to kill him 7 times to actually defeat him in a baseball game.
Well, and it's a good point because it's not like his strikeout numbers were otherworldly. I mean, he just was a elite outgetter. He had some punch out stuff, but he was just an elite outgetter.
Yeah, there's a lot of funk there with his delivery. It's just hard to get hard contact against him at all.
I kind of think of him like in my head as like a a relief version of Mike Leake. It's just like that, like uncanny pitchability and competitiveness and savvy and like just ability to adjust however you need to just get the damn job done. Like that to me it's kind of the similar profile.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Joe, your second reliever, please.
Yeah, very excited. It came back to me. I'm going to go with Chief Chad Cordero.
Yeah.
The linchpin of several very, very good Cal State Fullerton teams. Career numbers 209 ERA and 176 and 2/3 innings. Also one of the first players that I remember, I'm sure there were some before, wearing his cap deliberately cocked to the side. That's what it was, flat bill, and it was over to the side. And the fact that he was right-handed, given that, is a huge upset. But a little bit like Ryan Wagner, apparently this is my sweet spot, was in the big leagues later in 2003. He had the relative misfortune, however, of being drafted into the Montreal Expos organization. So I'm sure that was not necessarily the most pleasant place to be drafted at that time before that team ended up getting moved. But I just remember him being, we think about the Fullerton starting pitchers and that whole lineage. We've talked about and drafted a whole bunch of them in that last round. But to me, he's right there with a Jason Windsor in terms of just like a guy whose name gets a little bit, and Chad Cordero had a good big league career, so maybe it's not fair, but a guy whose name maybe doesn't come to mind right away with those Fullerton greats on the mound, but definitely should, given the numbers that he did as just a super solid 3-year guy for Fullerton. Was a closer all 3 years of his college career and was awesome at it every single year.
Love it. Kendall, your second reliever, please.
Well, I kind of feel like we have to go with a Golden Spikes winner here, and Kevin Kopps from Arkansas. What's really cool and interesting about Kevin was this is a guy that, had you told anybody at Arkansas that even like half of what he did that season would come true, they would have taken it. Like the expectations for Kevin Kopps was, contribute, be pretty solid. It wasn't to be one of the most dominant single season performance in modern college baseball. And what he did that year was remarkable. 232 strikeouts and 190 innings. I know a lot of people like to think about, the NC State game and things like that, the way his career ended there. But what a hell of a run there for Kevin Kopps in that season with Arkansas.
Love it.
Yeah, a one-of-one career in college baseball.
One of one. Well said. Fitzy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take probably the name on here that people don't remember just how great this guy was. But that's Blair Erickson for UC Irvine. I've got a lot of West Coast flavor on my pitching staff, but this guy, I believe, set the record for, career saves. Maybe at that time it was
53 of them in his career. That's insane.
53 of them over 4 seasons. 17 as a freshman. I believe at that time Berg might have broken it, but I don't know. But anyway, I feel like that was the all-time record for saves at that time. I mean, it was just again a key piece for an emerging program. Irvine under, I guess he started his career under John Savage there in 2004 and finished it going to Omaha for Dave Serrano in 2007. Again, just an underrated, consistently excellent force in that bullpen. His sophomore, junior years were particularly great, with lower ERAs I'm told, thank you, Pat James, that his 53 career saves are still the NCAA record. So there you have it. I got the all-time saves king,
How about that?
the Lee Smith of college baseball, if you will, with the last pick.
I'm disappointed that when you got that message, you didn't put your hand to your ear and is like, I'm hearing late breaking word.
Very good. Hey, let's come back and we'll recap our relievers with the two-way players, because a lot of the two-way players did. Some of them had reliever flair to them, but let me give us our choices for two-way players. And off the board is on the table, of course. AJ Reed of Kentucky, Brendan McKay of Louisville, Brad Lincoln of Houston, and Jack Kaggs of Florida are the 4 guys on our list. And again, there's so many great two-way players in college baseball. This list could be infinite. Joe, you were up first.
Yeah, I got to go with Kaggs. I mean, it's just otherworldly. Like, you could just bet on the power coming through. We can nitpick his pitching. and understandably so, because the command just was never there, even though he had some good moments. But just have to go with Cags because of the power. As much as I want to go with a McKay or a Lincoln, who were kind of more well-rounded, like both of those guys were aces and the best hitter in their lineup at various points. I just got to go with Cags with the power.
Love that. Kendall, you are, by the way, if Cags hadn't had Tommy John surgery his senior year of high school, maybe that's even a totally different conversation. I mean, You're right, Joe, like one of one as far as like talents and physicality. Kendall, who do you like at 2A?
Yeah, I'll go with McKay. You're talking about a guy that his junior year at Louisville, 18 homers, 57 RBIs. And by the way, on the mound, 146 strikeouts, 109 innings as the ace for the Cards. Brendan McKay is the answer.
Wasn't he the three? If you said this a second ago, Kendall, I apologize. Wasn't he 3 years in a row, the Olerud Award winner? I think he won it every year he was in college as the 2A Player of the Year.
I would think so.
Yeah,
Can't imagine somebody having a better year.
yeah. He's truly, because Rune, you kind of alluded to it when you said some of these guys have reliever profile to them. Rare is the guy who is both ways impactful right away. Like oftentimes it's like, oh, he's hit over pitch or he's pitch over hit, and then by the time he's a junior or senior, he's doing both pretty well. Brendan McKay was a rare one where like everything was working from the minute he stepped on campus, and for 2A guys, that's not often the case.
Love it. Fitzy, you are up.
I'm going to take AJ Reed. Going to go across the Bluegrass State. It's really the junior year was really special. Again, it's the dead bat era. He hits 23 home runs. I believe that led the country that year. 73 RBIs. He had a great season with the power, of course, but also, he went 12-2 with a 2 ERA on the mound. As their ace. So for a very good Kentucky team that hosted a regional, kind of took a big step forward for that program. And he was a good player, a good 2A player for all 3 years of his career, but really that junior year is what you're buying here. And it was very impactful.
Yeah, the pitching, I feel like, gets lost in his resume, that he was actually a real guy on the mound, just because it wasn't blow it by you stuff. It wasn't 170 strikeouts. It was, but he was a real guy.
88-90 and competed his tail off and had some fun.
Yep. Love it. So that gives me Brad Lincoln of the Houston Cougars. It's so cool. I found a thing on him when he got inducted in the Conference USA Hall of Fame. And so he struck out 293 batters in his career, which is 3rd highest in the history of the school. Also had, it was a career hitter, 316, 21 home runs. Fitzy, give us your back of the bullpen and your 2A player here.
Yeah, I got single season saves king David Berg, who, by the way, had a 1.12 ERA over his entire career, 266 innings. That is bonkers. All-time saves king Blair Erickson. So those two guys can just wrestle for the saves king title back in my bullpen. And then I got AJ Reed, the Golden Spikes Award winner in 2014. He is your 2A joker for the University of Kentucky. Happy to have him hitting bombs and competing out there on the mound.
Kendall, give us your bullpen and your 2A guy, please.
Yeah, a little SEC flavor to start us off with Matt Price and Kevin Kopps, and then we finish things off with Brendan McKay from Louisville.
Boy, Kendall. Your bullpen is gnarly. That is really
my whole team's gnarly.
Well, I don't know. I question your guys' clubhouse.
I think the fans are going to make the right choice here.
Maybe.
I got you.
I want to get out in front of this because I'm going to lose the fan vote because I took some guys that are just guys that I wanted on my team. And I don't care if they're not as famous.
Excuses.
Some of Kendall's guys, I'm going to get in front of this. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not here to win.
Sorry for taking Paul Skeens.
Well, you happen to have the first pick. That worked out okay for you. Go on, Runes. What do you got?
I like it. Joe, you go and then I'll finish.
All right. In the bullpen, I have the all 2003 college baseball all-stars of Ryan Wagner and Chad Cordero, two guys who were awesome for Houston and Fullerton respectively, and then ended up in the big leagues later that same season. I didn't do that on purpose, but that is kind of a cool little symmetry there with my bullpen guys. And then as a 2-way player, you may have heard of him, Jack Caglione.
Love it. The Rune Dogs, David Bush, all-time great for Wake Forest, Houston Street, and, again, really started that, such an integral part of that 2002 national title for Texas. It had been a minute, and then I think that those teams very much bled into the 2005 national title for them. And then Brad Lincoln, another large number of Cougs mentioned in these 2 episodes, which we love. So there you go, boys. Well done. So fans, as we put a bow on this, by the time you're listening to this, be checking our social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. The fan vote is probably it's probably already in your feed, and you'll have 2 days for each of these positions, so you don't have to rush through it and pick them all at once. And we want to hear. I don't know that I agree, Fitzy. I think Kendall's team, people will worry about him mismanaging that team, and they'll be more likely to vote for the fabulous Rune Dogs. I don't know, but either way, we are excited to hear what you guys say.
Coach Rooney has a long and distinguished history of guiding his teams to
second place finishes. Yes, it's right.
Yeah.
We do finish second a lot. Boys, as we wrap, don't overthink this. Joe, your favorite pick of the 2 episodes, favorite player on your team?
Oh, I think it's Shane Komine, because he's just so much of what got me interested in college baseball, what's cool about college baseball. I mean, we're talking a guy from Hawaii who ends up at Nebraska. Oh, by the way, under Dave Van Horn, who is still a very relevant name in college baseball. Was the guy who didn't play in the big leagues, undersized, just a grinder, great college pitcher. Who nearly willed his way to being a big leaguer, but that's what it would have been, was willing his way into the big leagues. Just the quintessential college pitcher. So it's got to be Shane Komine.
Love that. Kendall, favorite player on your Big Texas?
I'm going to go with Adley Rutschman. I mean, the easy pick would be Paul Skeens or Trevor Bauer, but I just loved watching Rutschman play, probably more so than any other player in college baseball over at least the last 10, 12 years. So I'll go with Adley.
That's good. Yeah, that's an easy one. Fitzy, go ahead. Who's your favorite?
Well, I'm just going to go with Michael Roth. And it's a guy, again, that I probably reached for in the draft. I think I could have waited and gotten him later. But he's just such an iconic winner. And, I love those South Carolina teams. I thought they were so much fun to cover, all the personalities on those teams. The fact that they won the last College World Series in the old era, the old stadium in Rosenblatt with the old bats and the old balls and all that. And then they also won the first College World Series in the new era, the new stadium with the, dead balls and bats. It's just incredible. This team was able to do it in both dramatically different climates. And he was the poster boy. He was the face of college baseball for, two really his last 2 seasons. He kind of became that at the end of his sophomore year, but just an incredible rags to riches story. With personality, and I'm glad he's a fit dog.
Love that. I'll do Brett Wallace. That one I didn't see that one coming, and I enjoyed his career so much. I didn't get to coach him, but just this quiet assassin, just absolutely demolished West Coast pitching for 3 years. Not the highest profile recruit in that group. There was a bunch of them, but more impact than anybody. And I don't think that was debatable as far as those Arizona State teams. Gentlemen, very fun. Enjoyed that very much. This was a cool exercise. Joe, I think you fostered this idea, so thank you for that. This was a great time. And for the fans, again, get in there. We are fired up to see what you guys pick, and very fun exercise. And that is it. Everybody enjoy the end of the summer here. Fall reports and fall coverage will be coming before we know it. And so there we go. Everybody have a good one, and we will catch you next time on the D1 Baseball Podcast.